what is so superior of white people in opposition to people who are not white? That is my frank question.
The question is not one of superiority. It's a question of difference. And what I mean by that is when someone says, is this race or this individual superior to another? That's begging the question or raising the question of in what? What criteria are you using? In terms of, let's just use sprinting or something like that. Clearly, West Africans, if we use the Olympic Games as a judge, West Africans are superior to all other people in terms of the 100-yard dash or so on.
Are we talking about genetic dispositions now?
Yeah, well, we can talk about genetic dispositions. I mean, it's difficult to separate cultural expressions and worldviews from genetics, really. I mean, you know, genes and culture inform one another.
No, genes are not the basis of culture and understanding. I'm sorry to contradict you there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
So you will assert that without why?
No. The thing is, you know, because I come from Germany, you know, and
so therefore.
No, and because this terminology that you use when you talk about culture and understanding, intelligence, and whatever it takes.
Right.
You connect that with genetics, and we had the same. You say right, and we had the same terminology. You know, in the Third Reich with Adolf Hitler, they were using all the same words.
I was waiting. We were playing a game of how long it would take you to reach this point where you evoke Hitler. Even if it were the case that Hitler believed that doesn't mean it's wrong. Hitler was a vegetarian. Hitler liked the operas of Wagner. Hitler liked all sorts of other things. Just because he might have liked something or disliked something. Joseph Stalin, I'm sure, had wonderful taste in music. I love Prokofiev as well. So none of this is a truth question that you're addressing.
But
you're simply saying
I'm sorry to
Hitler
interrupt.
liked this.
No, Hitler is, you know, we had this, I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly in English, but it's eugenics, right?
Right.
That
actually arose in the United States.
But people, I know that, but people, you know, in the Third Reich, and the people in the Third Reich, they killed people, disabled people, homosexuals, you know, people who did not fit into this area thing, you know, whatever it's called in English. But you get my point. So
no, I don't get your point, actually.
No, because people know, because of the terminology that you use, that really killed people. You know, 6 million Jews were 6 million Jews were regarded as being inferior to the Germans. You know what I mean?
Just as a historical note, Hitler never thought that Jews were inferior.
No, but he put them into gas chambers for whatever strange reason. You know.
Do you think that Catholicism is a legitimate religion? If someone were to say, I am a Catholic, do you think that they have good reason perhaps to be one, and that they have the right to be a Catholic, and that's justified? Do you believe that?
You know, I listened to your speech today.
Do you believe that?
I'm sorry. I listened to your speech today, and you said, you know, all the problems in Germany with all the refugees and stuff, right? I mean, there are problems, but then again, I live there. You don't live there, right? And we, of course, there have been problems, but as an overall picture, what Angela Merkel did was a humanitarian act. And if you say, you know, Christianity, Pope Francis said that what she did to open the gates in this very situation was a humanitarian act.
So you do think Catholicism is a reasonable and justified religion? But Pope Francis, you just praised him, right?
Well, I'm not sure where you
what about the Inquisition? How can you be a Catholic when I can show you plenty of examples when Catholicism was misused? We had the wars of religion that tons of Germans died in those wars. How could anyone conceivably be a Protestant knowing that the wars of religion existed? You're not making any kind of argument.
But you are such an intelligent person, and you know what I mean when I say that you are using the same language as Adolf Hitler did, and that caused tremendous. It was the darkest phase of my country. Do you understand that?
Look,
yeah.
I understand, but none of this is not an argument to simply
it is an argument
because
you stand.
Do you think vegetarian?
Has nothing to do with vegetarians.
Why doesn't it?
Because
we've
it doesn't
been
kill
down
people.
this road. This was the darkest moment in our history when a vegetarian was in charge of Germany. Never again. Do you agree with that?
No, but this is.
Well, then why can't we talk about genetics? First off, like the genetic concept of the Third Reich was very different than our understanding of genetics now.
What is your
by the way?
Yeah, but what is your
But,
understanding of
still,
superiority when it comes to genetics?
If you're going to ask a question of superiority, it's always a question in what, for what. The
But-
fact
but-
is,
but-
we evolved. Do you
but
believe? Do you think Darwin?
But in what?
is-
In what?
do you
In
think
what?
he
And
was
for what?
getting
I'm
at
sorry.
something?
In what is the white man superior to the rest of the world? Just tell me, for me to understand. If you ask a question, in what, then please give the answer. In what is white man superior to a black man, for example?
Let's.
Is it intelligence? Is
We're
it,
actually,
is
it's
it culture?
in terms of average IQ, yes, the average Northern European has a significantly higher IQ on average than an African.
I know all the studies that you are talking about, and
All the studies,
you know,
yeah,
and
all of them.
and
No one disputes that fact. They simply have a different
no.
interpretation.
But that's simply not true.
It
you know?
is.
No, it's not true. I'm sorry.
African Americans in the United States, I don't know of a single study in which they have higher educational outcomes than white Americans. The only difference is people interpret it. They explain it in a different way than I might. No one disputes that fact.
Okay, we can. You know, this is.
But you know, the other thing, I hate to. It is, and I hate to say it. I am a deep admirer of German culture. That being said, there are some real problems with the current regime. That is effectively the West German regime that was invented by the United States, more or less, in the sense of freedom of expression. You don't truly live in a country when you have people who are thrown in jail for writing something about history or about their beliefs and identity or race or so on. That's not a free country. There are people in Germany right now who are in jail for thought crimes. You know that.
No.
Oh, come on.
Give me names. I'm sorry. I live in this country.
I
live in this country, and you don't live in this country.
Do you have thought crime laws?
Empirical argument doesn't matter.
Are you conceivably denying that?
Well, of course, you cannot have the Hakenkreuz, right? If that's what you're referring to, you can.
I'm not just referring to that.
You cannot just read Mein Kampf without
Why
without
not? You can't
without
just read
no
Mein Kampf.
no
Why
but
not?
without annotations, because
without annotations.
No,
I mean,
because this we decided. You know it. I know it.
If people read it, they'll just instantly become Nazis. I mean, these are all of these assumptions which you haven't really thought through. The other thing is claiming that I'm a German and therefore I know this. That's also a very bad argument. I mean, there are plenty of cases where an outsider actually can tell you something about your country that you might not be able to see.
No, but you're giving wrong facts. If you're
I am not absolutely not giving wrong facts.
Hey, hey, how's it going, man?
Okay, but if you're whatever, we don't you know,
Sure.
we can't get any further if you say that in Germany it's a custom, you know, to put people in jail if they don't think accordingly to, you know.
I'm not saying it's a custom.
What
All
is
I'm
it?
saying is there are on the books right now. There are effectively thought crime. There is effectively thought crime legislation.
Thought
Do you
crime
deny
legislation.
that?
No, thought crime legislation, of course, when it comes to the Third Reich symbols,
Right.
and to Mein Kampf, you know, and
That was the product
we have
of-
good reason of not
Because you're all going to become Nazis once you read my. I mean, that seems to be the
find
implication.
a
Why would
charger
you have
for
that
an
law?
amplifier?
You don't have similar laws against reading
Yeah,
Marx.
yeah. This always happens.
Do you?
no.
Because why?
Because
that regime is a puppet regime created by the United States that was invented immediately after the Second World War in order to keep Germany, the Germany of the Third Reich, down. That's why it was created. It's not like it has a history.
And the history is that because of the thoughts that you today we're sending out to the world, and you have the responsibility for that, that exact same line of thoughts killed 6 million Jews, right? You know what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Okay. Anyway.
You know, the other thing about that, there are a lot more people. There are a lot more people who died in the Second World War than Jews. There are many Germans who died. There are many, many millions of Russians who died. It is somewhat unusual that you engage in this special pleading that if we think about genetics, it's 2 steps later, there are going to be gas chambers. The Second World War was an absolutely terrible event that I do not want to ever conceivably repeat. And it was terrible for Germany. It was terrible in the entire European world. I do not want to do. I don't want to engage anything that leads back there. Of course not. But that none of these arguments you make.
An ethno state, right? That is excluding, people who are not like you. That is essentially what it is it not?
You lived in an ethno state for most of your life, effectively. Germany, interestingly...
But that is so not true. I'm sorry, because I lived in this country. My friends were Turkish. My friends were, like from any denomination, religious-wise.
Germany
from
was
any
overwhelmingly,
if you know anything better about my country than I do, then hello. I applaud you, honestly, because you dress up very, like a very smart man with a nice cigar and with nice manners. But it's it's not true what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Sure.
No, because I grew up in a very diverse Germany.
Where did you grow up?
In the Midwest of Germany.
Okay.
Anyway, we can't.
The Midwest of Germany. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my friends
you
at
might
school,
have had
and my
Turkish
friends. I'm sorry. My
Germany
friends
was
at school.
Overwhelming. I mean, do you deny like demographic reality, like stats? The stats were wrong.
No, but I'm sorry. Germany
there are
has
60 million Germans.
Germany has a large population of Turkish who came to work. They have a different.
Yes. Capitalists brought guest workers to Germany so that they could pay people lower wages.
Now it's the third generation, and they have become part of the German society. They feel German. They speak.
Not really.
How come you know better than me?
I've been in Berlin, and there were Turkish parades where they were waving Turkish flags.
If you know anything better than me, then
you're making a really. Do you understand me? Then I mean, it's just.
No, I don't understand you. To be honest, I don't understand you.
That's so funny.
No, I want to understand you. I want to.
Can I express an opinion on German society that you won't say? I'm German. I mean, that's just not an. I mean, it's kind of. It's just not serious. I'm sorry. Can I express any opinion on Germany? Am I allowed to? Or are you going to come back with me?
You can.
Again and again and say, I'm German.
No, but you can. But if we come back to the point that you say that Germany, I grew up in a Germany who was just, only Germans were there. I have to contradict you because it's
overwhelmingly it was a German society until very recently.
But you have to trust me that different religions, different cultures.
Protestants and Catholics. Yes.
No. I just told you that I have a lot of Turkish friends who are Muslims, of course, right? And they like to live in Germany. I like them to live in Germany, and it's a diverse country. It does not pose a threat. It does not, do any harm to anybody. That's what I'm trying to tell. That's what I'm trying to tell.
It's an American puppet state.
Okay, yeah.
It is. I'm sorry. Any country within NATO is an American puppet state.
Good.
Well, do you deny that?
No, but can we?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You can claim how Germany hasn't started a war in the past 50 years. Yes, that is because there are American soldiers literally occupying your country. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just you're so disconnected from reality. You live in some little realm where it's like, but I had a Turkish friend, and therefore genetics don't exist. Just get real.